Hello, 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 hello. How's it going there, Fiat? How's it going there, Zachy? How are you guys? Let's see. Just we're gonna start here by doing some little bit of build work. Trying to get some of the builds, especially from yesterday, fixed up. So let's start working on that. So here's the land ship. This needed a torch. So I have some tools in here under the cabinets, and I'm putting it in here. So let's go ahead and put a couple torches in here. I'll put some torches in here so that I can repair. Alright, so that goes in. Symmetry's on. It's not. Perfect. Alright, and then I don't necessarily need it, but I'm going to put them on is some rope anchors on the roof so we can try to tip it over a little bit more readily. So let's probably stick them here. Let's put symmetry on for that. That way that'll make it a little bit easier to tip over if I need to. Nice. Alright, so that'll make that a little bit easier. We'll save that up. Excellent. Alright, the IFA has been needing a torch and a fire X for a little while. Let's get off symmetry. That way the world does not end if we have some sort of minor vendor bender. Alright, good. Let's save that, and then I split the IFA and the trailer. I have them together. Alright, good. Be nice once I get enough vehicles here, we can really go do some stuff, but I can use my whole, you know, my whole stable of vehicles too. Where is the trailer? It's gotta be up here. There's. Okay. Alright, let's get this detached from that. Still need to do brakes and stuff on this. Haven't really prioritized that as of yet. Haha, I didn't mean to do that. Alright, meant to drag you. Resize the grid. There we go. And right there, probably. Okay. Alright, nice. Let's see. Did you actually go in the right spot? Perfect. Alright, good. So that's good. Alright, good. So that is fixed. So I think we'll try to get a mission a little bit early. That way, we can kind of see what we need. Alright, so those couple things are fixed. Let's go ahead and we'll jump right in the career game itself. We're in the custom game there. Read a little chat. How's it going, Fiat? How's it going, FS? How's it going, Zachy? How are you guys? How's it going, Citrus? Testing your tractor trailer for the challenge. I found out that my trailer needs some weighing down. Yeah, I like the battle cannon pieces. They look kind of like axles. You can put quite a bit of them in there, and they're the most space efficient for weight, as they are 40 for a 3-slot. Alright. So let us see. Check, make sure we don't have a mission currently up. We're up to 92 grand, which is nice. Couple of little under-map oil spills. People have been kind of panicking about those on Reddit and everyone else. Just leave them. They'll clean themselves up, or you dump something in there and it'll clean it up. You know, it's the water. The water goes under the map, so just put a cleaner in and relax. It's part of the game. You know, if you don't like it, shut them off. Stop spilling oil. You know, I got oil on the map because I pumped oil out into the world. So, you know, you pump oil out into the world, back it up. Let's see. All right, so we're gonna go take a nappy new, and we'll see what we get for a mission. Kind of let the missions decide a little bit what we're gonna do next. All right, let's get up in here and have a nap. Yeah. Alright, Cobalt Safety Officer, that's at the... That is out... Nope. Okay, Cobalt Mining. Okay, so right here we have a... Ore terminal is on fire, 3 grand, 60 minutes. One of the terminals on fire. Luckily, no casualties, so this is just a put out the fire mission. So let's see what we want. So we don't need anything extravagant because just putting out a fire. So let's go get that done. Could start on a helicopter. That plane's going to take a while, and I don't want to spend all my time building, so we'll build a little bit here and there on that plane. That plane would be what I would take. I might take a plane anyway. Let's see what we have for resources. Might take, ooh, ultralight would be kind of cool. I don't know how the ultralight's going to cool, so let's put that out there because cooling did change, so let's see. Ultralight would be kind of cool to take, though. It is windy, though, so let's check the wind because, again, like any real pilot, you want to be checking your weather before you take off. So if we look here, 32 is not bad, but for an ultralight, that's probably pretty damn bad. You know, you need to keep that in mind. You know, that's quite a bit of wind for an ultralight. You wouldn't be flying your ultralight in that. Could take the insect. That would be kind of nice to take. Alright, so let's take the insect. Alright, let's see. Let's check the cooling really quick on this one. I might turn on infinite, or shut off engine overheating on a lot of these because I have not edited a lot of these to make sure they depressurize, so we have to keep that in mind as well. What was I doing? I want to make sure no clips off so that missions are a little bit closer, but this one's not too bad. The distances really aren't all that long. Okay. Alright, so what's wrong with this? Okay, so we're not taking this. I do not know why that is not running. New engine, I might not have even plugged it in. Let's see, what can we take? We could take the big man car. Triton car, why is it? Oh, Triton car because I did that. But big man's challenge. We could take this car. Take the truck. I think we'll take the truck and the trailer if I can find it. The old 50s truck. If I can remember what I called it. What the hell did I call it? Pickup maybe? I don't know. I don't remember what it, there it is. Pickup number 2, backup, okay. So this was, if you remember, this was a challenge. 50s vehicle challenge. Again, we have to watch the heat on all these things. I may have to edit a bunch of builds to make them work, so I will. Parking brake release. What are we, 6 on the seat? Okay. Where is my park brake? I released. Okay. Alright, sounds like the parking brake isn't apply and not release. Alright, so keep an eye on the temp. We do have a temp gauge. It should be fine, but we'll see. You know, a lot of people who are having temperature problems are the ones who are not gearing properly, and therefore their engines need to rev out like crazy. You know, a lot of people are expecting gasoline levels of RPS. You know, these are diesel engines. You know, you do get some, you know, car diesel engines that rev reasonably high, but most of them rev pretty low IRL, you know. You know, you're talking the normal operating range for the tractors that I've driven are, there's some oil right there. The normal operating range of the tractors that I've operated IRL are 1100 to 1400, and I would take it up to 1600. So that's it. You know, people are expecting 5,000 to 6,000 RPM of rev, and it's not not what a diesel does. There are some use cases for that, but, you know, generally the diesels are revving pretty low. Yeah, so they're kind of expecting unrealistic things and then complaining that the game's not realistic. Oh, there we go. I got a little slippery trying to turn the music back on. Alright, so we're headed up here towards map. We're headed up towards here. So we're going to continue. I think, let's check the fork in the road. I think we're going right. I don't know where the hell we are. That'll work. Whatever. Let's see. Right, left. We'll go left here. Just try to check the map. This part of the map I don't drive around very often, so it's kind of nice to see some new area. How's it going there, Rasmus? What's happening? How's it going? Professor Wood? How's it going? Connor O'Boyle. How are you guys? So temperature is 30 degrees. We left at 29 and we're at, ooh, get slippery here. We'll blame the rain. And we're only at 30 degrees, so I doubt we're gonna have any sort of temperature problem. The wind is up, so. Trying to see where the hell I am here. I'm getting more and more south, I think. I have to kind of take a look at the map. Let's take a look at the map. Did I go ultra south? So I think we're coming down here, and then we need to fork out, and then we'll go up, so that's fine. I was in the map when we let the car keep going on a certain direction. Well, it depends on if you have air cooling and a scoop. You know, that would affect it, but generally I don't think so. I don't think the wind affects cooling. Alright, so I need to check this. So, yeah, we're on the southerly track here. And we're going to want to head towards the west. If you look, you know, we're up to 33 degrees. You know, people are also, some of the times when people are overheating a lot is they're driving like maniacs. They're trying to go, you know, 120 miles an hour, you know, everywhere. And it's like, you wouldn't be able to do that in real life either. You'd overheat your engine, you know. So, you kind of have to take some of that into consideration, that if you're asking unrealistic things from it, you're going to get unrealistic results, and you need to build unrealistic, you know, unrealistically complex cooling systems. Where the hell am I? I'm going to quickly cheat here. I don't know this area really well, so I want to see where the hell we are, because I don't want this to... Yeah, oh, geez, we're way south. Okay, turn around, man. Yeah, we're way south here. Place going to burn to a cinder before we get there. I don't know, I missed the turn that badly, but I did. We're going to cut a... If we get into valleys and stuff here, we'll completely be cut off if I don't head back a little bit. Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh, I hate third person. I really do, with a passion. Get out of here. Get out of the vehicle, you dickhead. Watch me have no... I have one on me, but... Are we gonna do this every episode? Me crashing? Jesus. Alright. What do we have in here for supplies here? I need to heal myself up. Fire extinguisher, that's it. Okay. Alright. I'm way off track. I don't know how I screwed this up so bad. I thought we were going here. Problem is, I would like them to do different color coding on the rail lines, because it's like I can't tell the difference between the rail lines, and I think this is rail, I think, and this is road. Yeah, this is road, this is rail. So it's like I'm trying to hunt for the rail lines, and I'm ending up going the wrong way. Right, we're just going to recall this sucker. I'm not going to dick around with towing this back. We did that yesterday. And I got to heal up, so. It's a good idea, but I just missed the friggin' turn. Missed the turn. What we might do is let's do this. Seeing we just fixed it. Let's take the land ship out. I can sleep in the bed there, and we can get missions where I am. So what I'll do is get rid of no clip and leave the map vehicles on. I need to learn this part of the map. I do not, generally I'm not around here, so I don't know where the turns are. I usually operate at FJ, so we will keep that in mind. This vehicle didn't get much in the way of testing, so. The pumps are a little on the loud side. You know, I like that we have some of these things make sound now, but it's hard to hear over some of them. So it'd be nice if they would, you know, let us tune it. Like, let us make, you know, I've talked about this before. It'd be cool if we had, like, say, 10 different engine sounds, and we could tune the engine, the pitch, and the volume like we can on sound blocks. And then let us do it on pumps too, because we might want a fantasy build that has completely silent pumps. I like the pump sound, but you know, I might like them a little bit quieter, or I might like them a little bit louder, depending on, like, if I walk in the engine room of my ship, I want all the pumps to be blaring at me. I want it to sound like an engine room. But if I'm in something else, I might want them to be quieter, you know. So I always think customization is the way to go. Is it really makes it so that you can kind of play the game how you want. I think that's always a benefit. At some point we need to clean up that oil over there. That oil's been there for a little while. We're not pumping any new oil in, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Alright, I will consult the map when we get up to this turn here. Not going to read chat right now because this keeps causing me to crash. As I'll look over chat, or I'll dick with the music, and then I crash, and then it's a big deal trying to get back. So let me quickly look at the map here. We're coming up on this turn here, so this is a left hanger. Okay. So see, I can't even go up here unless I went up in the facility. I was thinking that I was going up here already, and then I took the right turn. So, all right, good to know. Try to read a little chat while I'm going slow. Yeah, so Emery and Rasmus was talking about the diesel engine on a locomotive, and it idles at 275 and it maxes out at 975. Especially the larger the engine you have, generally the lower the RPS it's going to be, because, you know, force is mass times acceleration. You need to think of the top of the piston as it comes up. It's held to the connecting rod, and as the heavy, if you have a big heavy piston, as it comes up to the top at really, you know, huge velocities, it will break the pins, it will break the connecting rod. You have to start worrying about that. You know, if you look at like really super high revving engines, like some of the motorcycle engines that rev to like 20,000 RPM, one thing is they have very very small strokes. They don't go up and down very far, and so because of that, they you know, they're not exerting that much force on it, because you know, you take it and it completely has to stop its motion and go back the opposite direction. And so that's a huge amount of force on the connecting rod, on the pins, you know, on all the parts there. You know, so you have a big engine, you think like how big a ship's diesel is. Like, you can literally walk into the cylinders to do maintenance on them and stand in there. You know, now imagine that going at a huge velocity. You're just going to break components, you know, and then you start having to have really, really, really heavy components to be able to withstand the stresses. And as you start to get the heavier components, well, force is mass times acceleration. As the mass goes up, the force goes up. So you start to get into a problem where you just can't, it becomes really expensive and really difficult to overcome these problems. You just have to start getting into really exotically light materials that are light and strong, and that's expensive usually. And so, you know, the better thing to do is you you run a big engine slow, it has a lot of torque, and then you use a gearbox to convert the torque to RPS. You know, so that's kind of, you know, like I run most of my engines at pretty low RPS because I put a proper gearbox in there and they run fine, you know, and the wheels are bigger than they would be in real life in games, so you don't need as high of an RPM as you would in real life because of the oversized wheels, you know, so it's, you know, so the cooling isn't that bad, you know, just like right now, this one runs a little bit higher because we rev at a higher RPM on this, but we're still only at 50 and we're almost there, and once I stop, it's going to cool us while I'm stopped, you know. But, you know, you got some people that are asking unrealistic things. They want to go 150 miles an hour everywhere, and they want to go 300 knots in a boat, and it's like, you know, if you want to go 300 knots in a real boat, you know, it's going to be incredibly challenging as an engineer to make that work. Let's see where we are. How did I make the wrong frickin' turn again, man? Good lordy, man. I don't know this part of the map. We're going to stick left here, and then we're going to go up to it. You know, the one of the most dangerous types of racing they had was the really high speed, or the when they're trying to set Guinness records for boats top speeds, because once you get up to like 300 miles an hour on the water, it's like hitting a concrete wall, and any tiny little bit of wave is like hitting you know, a what the fuck? Where am I going? I'm going up this mountain? No, we're not. I'm going down this hill. I'll go off-road in a little bit here. Like some street signs there, guy. Okay, no, that went where we were going. I thought that there was one of these that curls up the mountain. I thought that's where we were. It wasn't, so I was like, we're not going up the mountain. Oh, we're on the right path. You know, so it's like hitting a cinder block going across the water at 300 miles an hour, you know, in a car at 300 miles an hour. What do you think's going to happen? It's going to disintegrate, you know, and so it's, you know, it is cool that the game allows you to do things like go 300 knots in a boat, but you should expect that it's going to require a bunch of engineering on your part if you're going to make your boat go 300 knots. You know, it's, you're really going to have to cool the hell out of it. You're going to have to worry about crashing all the time. You know, you're starting to get to the point where, you know, water is acting like concrete. It's pretty damn dangerous. And I think people will often underplay how really crazy it is to go that fast on the water. There's a reason why we don't go that fast on the water. You know, like our chronoplanes are really cool. They're essentially airplanes, you know, and staying in ground effect. But all you need is one bad wave to come up and hit your plane, and you'll blow the wing right off. You know, you'll absolutely destroy it. You know, so it's, you know, it's the reason why we don't have a chronoplane shooting around everywhere. If it's such a genius idea, why don't we have it? Because they're not practical. Here we go. This is a road I remember. I've done this trip quite a few times, going from FJ to Urine Wind for containers. You know, it is cool though if you have no clip-on, we can get some further away missions if we're kind of feeling the drive. If you don't, you can shut it off and get some closer stuff. You know, it's kind of lets you set it up a little bit how you want it. Like, we're really revving high. This is a pretty high rev for me. We're up to 64. We've gone quite a ways. It's not a big, you know, and this is the radiator I have. This tiny one, that, you know, old school radiator, no pump, no radiator fan on there. No problem cooling it, you know. All right, here's our fire. We finally got here. We're going to watch that road there. I'm a little bit wary with the wind up this high, taking some of these turns with this truck. I'm really trying not to have to get the wrecker out again, seeing I just wrecked another vehicle. So there's the mine. Yeah, so when we arrive here, we're at 68 degrees, and we're going to stop, and this is going to keep cooling itself while we're sitting here. park it right about there. I have one on me, I do. Okay. Use the height of the vehicle to help me out here. You're gonna suck, aren't you? Used to be able to jump for this stuff. Can't really jump anymore. I might have to no-clip on top here. I forgot this was gonna be a high job. Did I put a firefighting system in here? I don't think I did. No, I don't think I did. So I'm just gonna no-clip up there. Screw it. I don't have any vehicles built right now that could do this. I have the fire truck, but we don't have a base that I can spawn that at yet. So the fire truck would have been what I would take if I could spawn it, but I can't. So. You know, IRL, we'd be able to climb up this thing. You know, I probably wouldn't be able to climb up it myself with my back, but normal person would be able to climb up on this Johnny. Would be cool to take that fire truck out, so once we can get a base big enough, I'd like to take that fire truck out. I really had like no desire or need, felt that I had a need for a fire truck until that JSI challenge came up, and now that I have one, it's like, oh, this would be cool. This would be a much easier mission if I had a fire truck, you know, so it's kind of... Sometimes it's cool for that sort of thing, as doing a challenge and you realize, oh yeah, that would actually be kind of a useful tool to have in your toolbox. Alright, good, so that's out. Let's go ahead and we will... So right now, we're down to 55 degrees. So we're at 68, and then by just sitting here, you know, it's been cooling the whole time we've been sitting there. Alright, so let's go ahead, we'll stick the brake on. Shut down. Let's see. Let me check my electricity, make sure we're not losing. We're losing very slowly. I think we should be fine. And then let's go ahead, take a nappy new. I'm going to go and we'll click on... Get rid of no clip. I want some close missions. I know where we are now. I know this area better. Shut override time off. Let's take a nap and get a new mission. I'll read some chat. Was there a med kit in the door? Yeah. Yeah, the gasoline cars tend to run a little bit higher on RPM. You know, especially modern gasoline cars are using a lot of aluminum parts in their engines, so the parts are very light. And because the parts are light, it makes it so that, you know, again, the force is mass times acceleration. So if you get the mass down of the part, the force on the connecting rod and the pins, connecting pins, is lower. You can rev them up higher. Yeah, you know, so it's like those, you know, Rasmus talking about that locomotive has 1350 horsepower at idle, you know, and that's because you have, you know, again, you have a big engine moving slow has the same amount of force as a small engine moving fast. You know, you need to get, you know, you can get your force in one or two ways. Increase the mass, increase the acceleration, or a combination. So you have those ways to get your force up, and your force is essentially your power, you know. I think you can still do it, but it's, you know, I would say it's more realistic for me to no clip and RP it as me climbing up the stanchions, because, like, if you look at the stanchions here, you know, I should be able to climb up these stanchions. You know, you could, these are I-beams, you should be able to shimmy up them, so I'd rather do that than some goofy fly with a fire extinguisher. Like, you could shimmy up these stanchions. You know, that's reasonably, you know, because these are I-beams, you grab the crest of the I-beam and you put your foot in here and push up and you can climb up that way. Did we get a mission? We did right here. Okay. Dirt separator is on fire. The silly dirt separator that the devs should work on. Alright, so we're going to head over to the dirt separator. That is one of my main gripes. That's, I think, another big gripe of a lot of people who play Industrial Frontier, is that the way the devs set up the dirt separator is very silly. You know, I tend to be a little bit more understanding of some of the things the devs do, but that one is one of the ones that I'm like, how did you guys not see this as a problem, you know? I think that one thing that I think is positive from this whole debacle of the... first of all, I think we need to kind of understand the two things that happened on DLC day. They released both a DLC and a major update on the same day, and a lot of the issues came from the major update, which was a major change in how fluids worked, and by adding pressurization. I think it was a net positive. I think it was the right thing to do to make the game more complex, more, give us more things to do. It adds a ton of building stuff. It adds a ton of great new things. And it also adds the ability for some cool new things in the future. For example, I think this could be our inroads to pneumatics. This could be our inroads to things like hydraulics. Once we have a pressurized system and we're able to pressurize things, we can really make some cool stuff. Let me make sure I'm on the right path again. Coming down here, we're going to take the right path, which we are, so this should be it here. All right. So, that's some really cool inroads to that. But understanding that there were two things going on with that. What the hell was my train of thought even going to that for? So that was some cool stuff with that. I think the silver lining of them having that screwed up time was that they kind of had a little bit of a wake-up call that they need to... that the community would rather them do some testing with us than not. I think it was beneficial them putting some of the pressure tests in experimental. And so what I would like to see is, like, for example, if they put Industrial Frontier in here, that would have been a time where I'd be interested to go in there and say, this doesn't make any logistical sense putting the dirt separator here. And why is it so tall? How are we going to get that up? And it doesn't make any sense that I have to, put my stuff on a train, then take it off of a train and put it back on a truck. It just makes it, it doesn't make it interesting. It makes it convoluted. And why does the refined ore fall in the ground? And, 60 seconds for the ore to disappear is too little. Just if you're concerned about the game, being a massive slowdown, then, then give us a slider so we can decide, And so these are the kind of things that I think if they had come to us for and done a little testing, it would have been helpful. Let's see where the hell we are. I'm lost, so I'm just going to check it here. No, we're good. Okay. We're good. Just, it's the left path up here. All right. Yep, we're on the easterly path, or on the westerly pass. And then we're going to go east here. So I think it was a positive thing, them going back in experimental. I think their excuse was understandable, but it was like, you need to... I think they're afraid of the community to a large extent, for good reason. Some people gave them death threats. But, I think one of the things was, I think they do care, but I think they're taking it too, they're taking it too much to heart, some of the things people need to say. They need to ignore a large part of the community. At the end of the day, if you listen to all your critics and haters all day long, you'd be miserable and you'd get nothing done. And I think at the end of the day, you need to have, as somebody being creative, you need to have your own vision. It's like if, as I'm building something, I pretty much ignore most of the comments telling me, hey, do this, do that, do this, do the other thing. You need somebody with a consistent vision to make something. And, I think the devs kind of need to ignore a lot of the input and be like, listen, we have a vision. We're going to continue with the vision. We appreciate the input, but, at the end of the day, it's our game, and we're going to work on our vision. That's something that I love with Nikita from Escape from Tarkov. Nikita straight up tells the community no all the time. He goes, nope, not in my game. Oh, you don't like that? Go play another game. And it's refreshing because whether you think it's the right thing or not, it shows that, he has a vision and he's going to do it. And you know what? If you don't like it, then maybe it's not the game for you. And the problem is a lot of games get watered down because they try to be something for everybody. Why am I getting burned that far away? They try to be something for everybody. And you're never going to make everybody happy. All you're going to do is you're going to water a game down. It's better to have a good core group of people who love your game. Of course, you need enough people to remain profitable, but it's like, not every game has to be a game for everybody. And that's why, you know, we'll get the same recycled crap all the time is, you know, them trying to just make the same game over and over again. You know, and so I think having a little bit of testing, seeing it, but then still having kind of the courage to say, nope, that's not the direction we're going, you know, I think is important with all games, and with this game especially because it's my favorite. But, you know, I think coming back to this, you know, I think they did make some errors in Industrial Frontier, and, you know, I understand them just ignoring people like me when we have criticisms of this, but, you know, I think there are some things they could do to make this better. You know, this is one of their lower rated DLCs, Industrial Frontier, and I think part of it is like, I want to go mining right now. I love to go mining, but the thing that keeps slowing me down and making me not go back to mining is the logistics. The logistics here are just a mess, and because the logistics are a mess, it makes me not want to mine. You know, it's like I was, you know, when I was building that miner before, you know, you saw how the part sizes were really limiting my design choices. And oh, fucking hell. The part choices were really making things difficult for me, that they were so oversized. That's one thing, you know, and I'm going to no-clip up here if I can't climb a ladder. There we go. Get up there. You know, the part choices were limiting my design choices, which made me not want to build it, unfortunately. You know, and then you had these logistics issues where you're like, okay, how am I getting to the train area, and then I have to switch from truck to train to truck to train to truck to train 3 times. That doesn't make any sense. You know, so they do have to have their own vision and be confident in that, but they also, you know, think it's helpful to get a little bit of input and then come up with your own vision at the end of it. Sounds contradictory to a certain extent, but I don't think it really is. It's, you know, Escape from Tarkov's had a good balance with that, where he does listen to certain elements and take some input, but also at the end of the day, he's still happy to say no. And Geometa at times will be afraid to say no to the community, and that was part of the problem with that was their excuse, which I believe. Fucking need. Oh my god, that's gonna kill me. Get pissed. I hate this fire extinguisher flying stuff. That is really stupid. I find nothing more stupid than that. I really don't. That is so stupid. The flying with the fire extinguisher. Let's read some chat as I reload the save. That fire is just way beyond what I could do with fire extinguishers. I just kept rebuilding the whole time. I need to bring a pressurized system for that. Alright. I reloaded the save, so we're back where we were. That's kind of my policy, is if I die, I don't have that on. But the fire extinguisher blew me back and killed me. I thought I had time to jump back, you know, before I got burned, and I didn't. So I definitely need to bring a fire vehicle for those. I need a fire suit, and I need a proper pump system. So I have some builds. I just need to bring them. Let's see. Did I leave the oil bell out there? It is. Okay. Let's grab the boat and let's drag that over here, because we have oil over here, and it's showing under the map, but it's actually over there. Let me read some chat here. How's it going, Variante? You mind the mining? What do you mean mind the mining? The current issue I have with the mining is I've gone over it 100 times, but like the logistics just doesn't make any sense with it, and that's my main issue with it. I wish they would have made some more logical choices. They seem receptive to some of this input, you know, and so I've been putting off making a video about it. I've actually tried making the video like 5 times. It needs not to be an hour long. It needs to be concise and coherent, and needs to come up with reasonable solutions, because they can't spend 6 months of all their dev time working on fixing Industrial Frontier. They can't do it. They have to have some small changes that aren't going to take them that much time, That's how business is, man. You know, people will talk about like the dream scenario of like them doing X, Y, Z. They're a business. They have to operate like a business. They can't, operate in any other way than how a business would operate. And one part of business is, they need to look at how much revenue is this going to create for us versus how much expense. And coming back to Industrial Frontier and spending 6 months making it perfect is not going to make them a ton of revenue. And so they need to, they could spend a couple days working on Industrial Frontier, getting it jazzed up, but they can't spend 6 months, And so the things that, I would suggest would have to be able to be accomplished in a few days, of work. And it needs to bring enough players to justify that time expenditure, And so I think some of the ideas that I have could do that. And the other thing, too, is I think modding is positive to a certain extent. I think modding is great, like Kerbal modding, stuff like that is great. But the downside of modding is, if other people are making things for you, you don't have to make them in the innate game. And Farming Sim does a great job at that, where they eventually will put them in game, but they don't have to if the community is also putting them in for them. And so it was like, I forget who put it out, but somebody put out, maybe Zizo put out improved Industrial Frontier, essentially, and put a lot of those things in. Now, I don't think that should be an excuse for the devs not to fix Industrial Frontier, but, I think they should fix Industrial Frontier, but you have to see how much of a time expenditure that's going to take for them. Okay, yeah, if it's at the bottom like that, the little heart icon blocks some of the words, so I can't even read it sometimes when the comment is at the bottom. I get you. Yeah, so like I'll quickly use the map as we're slowly dragging this sucker over to the oil spill, but kind of like talk about Industrial Frontier for those who may have not heard me rant about it before. But like, this is my favorite DLC, is Industrial Frontier, and the issues that I have with it are this: is first of all, like that separator is a big problem. That separator, you saw how tall it was. Like, you need some sort of crane to get that up there. It doesn't make any sense. The whole point is you should be having a conveyor belt built into the machine that does it. And so what they should do... Is it possible to hide the heart icon? I'll have to look. And so this is too high. This doesn't make any sense, this whole thing. This dirt separator, so what I would do is one of the big things, like I'll gloss over a couple of the things. I've talked about 2,000 times. So this whole separator, I like the look of it. It looks great. It looks like a shaker separator. Perfect. But what they should do with it, I'm going to have to keep switching back and forth, make sure I'm not off course. All right. They should put it between the rail line and the road line. In real life, real estate that's on both a major highway and a rail line is incredibly expensive, because you can put a facility there that can accept both rail traffic and road traffic. And so that's a prime piece of real estate. And they almost got it right. They put this important feature, this POI, off of a major artery, disconnecting it from one of the most important arteries, the rail line. So what they do is they make it so that you can't use a train to feed the separator. That's silly as hell. This separator here would perfectly go in between the rail line and the road line. There's plenty of real estate there. What they should do is put that in the middle. They should have an under dump for the train, so you can dump your cars from the bottom like you would in real life. I would make it really wide, so you can either under dump or side dump, because they also have side dump rail cars. That would make it really cool and interesting. That allows us as builders and engineers to build our rail cars how we want them. So that would be a good idea. So put a dump right here and make it wide so you can dump from underneath or to the side. We know this works because the coal dump up here is an under dump. So we know they can do it. So that's something they should do. Then you would put the same type of dump on this side for a truck. And so if a truck came in, a truck could dump, it would go in there. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. It really, like, I'm really truly baffled at this. Why they thought that as you dump a mineral into the hopper, that it should just dump the refined mineral on the ground. That's fine. That's not even fine. That's not great, but it's okay to a certain extent if you say it lasts forever, like it never disappears. But our stuff, like, especially when Industrial Frontier came out, it would take, like, I think like 10 seconds for it to disappear. It was something ridiculously low. Now I think it's up to, what is it, 60 seconds, something like that. You don't have time to dump in the separator and then quickly drive over here and then pick all this up and put it in the trailer. You don't have time. So what you need to do is you need to store it in the separator, which we already have storage in game. We have mineral storage at each base. So all they need to do is put mineral storage in here. And give us infinite mineral storage. Let us put as much in there as we want. I don't care. Put 1,000,000 units and then it stops taking. That's fine as well. Because you're converting visual blocks that we have to see into numbers, and that doesn't take up any space. And so what they should do is move this here, and then you come in with a truck, you dump, you dump, you dump, you dump, you dump. It stores it in the facility. It turns that dirty gold into rich ore, whatever the hell it's called. That's great. Do that. You can do the same thing with a train. Then when you're ready to accept it, you pull under the funnel and you dump it directly in your train cars or in the back of your truck. You select when you want it to dump. It converts the visual item into a number, and then when at your convenience, it allows you to dump it. This is how, for example, hopefully we're not going to overheat this boat. I'm so sick of overheating shit right now. That's how Farming Sim does it. For example, you take your... you can even do it with bales now. You take your bales, you put it in the bale barn, and it converts the bale into a number, essentially. Then when you want a bale, you convert it back into a bale. And so the same thing could happen in this game. Same thing in Farming Sim, how you dump grain into a silo. Now it becomes a number, and when you pull it out of the silo, it becomes a physicalized item again. And so they could do the same thing. As you put that gold-rich dirt into the separator, it then is now stored in the separator as the next stage of refinement. And so that's stored in the facility. When you're ready, you press the button and it dumps it in your train. So you might say, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I just feel like drilling some gold, and I'll go put it in the separator. And then, okay, I don't feel like doing it anymore. I'll go do something else for a while. Well, guess what? Your 300,000 units of gold-rich dirt are already stored as, what is it? I think it's 1/10. So 30,000 units of the next stage, and you go do something else and play something else, and that number is stored in the facility. Then when you're ready, you come over here, you press a button, it dumps the funnel into whatever receptacle you have, and then you move on. So that's one of the big issues they have here. This is just absolutely disastrous. And the money for gold. Gold should be the most profitable because it requires the biggest time investment. Gold is currently one of the least profitable goods. So right there it shows that they didn't really take the time to do the math, which is unfortunate. Well, I won't put it that way. The problem was they had surge pricing. Surge pricing was fundamentally broken. Again, that shows that they should have put that on experimental and let us test it. Hopefully they do that in the future. But surge pricing was fundamentally broken. And so it made some sense, like if you had a big surge on gold, to go do gold. But the problem is now gold is not worth it at all. All they have to do is boost the numbers up for gold. Literally go in there, change some numbers, boost up gold. Because right now gold is pathetically low. Like every other metal, like going and doing aluminum is better than gold at the moment. So that doesn't make any sense. And gold is incredibly time intensive, and time is a resource. So that is just a big waste of your time to do gold when it shouldn't be. And then you get to the metal facility. They're on fire too now. So then you get down to the metal facility, which is right here. And it has the same type of problem. One, it makes it so that it's kind of silly where they put the dump. They put the dump spot where it really can't be reached by a train, and it's in the middle of the sand instead of being You know, so see it's shrinking. So it's right in the middle of the sand. And so you really shouldn't be able to take a truck and get the truck there. Why am I not traversing? Is it the wind blowing me that bad? The wind must be blowing me that bad. It is. The wind's blowing me so bad I can't steer against it. That's funny. And so, there we go. We got it. So, you know, you have to... If you bring a train down there with your ore, you have to have a really peculiar and unrealistic... type of train car to dump your mineral into the facility, which is silly. Again, all they had to do was like look up coal mining trains, and you could see what kind of equipment do people use to do coal mining in trains. You know, look up, you know, iron ore trains, and then you can see what kind of equipment you would have quickly seen that they do underdump train cars. They'll do rotary dump train cars, but at the end of the day it generally dumps either on the side or underneath for a train car. And they could do the same thing with this facility. Is one, you should have a dump underneath the tracks, and you should have all they need to do is put some asphalt coloring here so that when you drive your truck in, you're not driving on sand. Back in, dump here. So make a really wide dump spot right here that can be both accept trucks and trains. The way they did it was they put a dead end here, which makes no sense, because as you come in, let's say you have a really, really long train, right? If you have it like this, the train comes in, it goes dump, 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 dump. Then what it would do in real life is it would come up here, and the train would back down this line. And here, let's say you could dump off this one here. It would come in here, and then you'd trigger the button, you would dump the new stuff in, you would go dump, 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 back in the train up. All the refined material would go in the train. Then you would move your train forward to the cell facility. You know, so that's what they should do. Is it just shows that they don't know logistics. And this is kind of, you know, I give them a break on some of this stuff more than most, because I have like, let's see, how many years of logistics do I have? Oh, it's coming up on, it's 17 years of logistics experience. You know, so a little bit more if you count some of the training I had in college. But, you know, 17 years of being in logistics, of moving people and cargo, you know, so I take it for granted. This stuff seems obvious to me. It really isn't obvious in the grand scheme of things. If you have no logistics experience, of course this doesn't make any sense to you. And so it's where I think the devs would benefit from reaching out to some people. Like, I'm perfectly happy to you know, they could send me a thing as like, hey, we're thinking of putting this new mechanic in. I know you have some logistics experience. You know, what would be your suggestions on how to do this? You know, that would be something. Hey, we're going to put in some airplane stuff. You know, I know, you know, you're a pilot. You have a degree in aeronautical science. What stuff would you recommend we do to make this more realistic, you know, or more reasonable? I think that they should use the community as a resource. I think that's always beneficial. There are some people in JSI who actually work on ships. So if they reached out to them and said, hey, we know you guys, some of the people in here have some real ship experience. We'd like some input on, for example, we hear our docks are way, way, way too tall. You know, and people would explain to them, yeah, this is how docks are in real life. And they could say, hey, you know, we put those in because the tsunami, we don't want it to completely do this. And you said, okay, we'll put a couple tall docks in and make the rest a normal size, you know. And stuff like that, I think, is always beneficial, is use the community as a resource. I don't think they have great PR, or public relations, with this company. And I always go back to this one thing that a lot of people are still shocked by, is the dev team is only like 4 people, I think. So when you only have 4 people, you don't have a PR manager. I kind of laugh sometimes. You'll see, and especially in the Steam comments, of they need to hire a new PR manager. or they need to hire a new community manager. They don't have any community manager, and they don't have any PR manager, really, probably, because it's a small dev team. You know, if this was EA has probably a dozen community managers for each game. They probably have a dozen PR people for each game. You know, you can't do that as a small developer team. You have to do it all yourself. And some of them, you know, I think, you know, they don't want to do that job. They want to be software developers, and that's understandable. But I think using the community as a resource is always helpful. All right, so that thing is out there. It is working. You notice that some of the pools were disappearing as we're there. It's just going to be very slow. I didn't pump that much oil in there. I pumped maybe 1,000 liters of oil into the ground at most. You know, so there's not a ton in there. So shouldn't expect it. We'll just let that passively clean. The wind is up so high, it was pushing that away. So we'll see how it behaves. But I love to see them work on Industrial Frontier because I'm on fire. I threw my fire extinguisher on the ground. Give me the day of friggin' annoyance today. That was on, this was at maximum, like, this was really testing its luck pulling that thing. Starting to get way too, this is way too small to be pulling that heavy of a thing. Because I was running at full load the whole time. All right, good. So that's done. Let's save, seeing we got something accomplished. All right. Yeah. So I'll do a video on Industrial Frontier. I'll go into it. I need to make it, you know, concise, short. It needs to be really detailed. Show the devs how they can get this X, Y, and Z done. Okay, let's see. We have nothing to go up here unless I use a different vehicle. 5 grand's not bad money. Could fight that with that. Let's see. I'm not going to build every vehicle I need to. Let's see. Let's start work on. I want to build a bunch of stuff that can operate in this base. So let's go ahead. I saved this. We'll save it one more time. I'll quickly load up the custom game again. We're gonna go back and forth because you know, I did royally screw myself earlier when I was building in my career game, because every time I try to despawn something, I lose fuel. If I crash it trying to test it, you know, I lose a bunch of fuel and the cost of the vehicle. So definitely better to do your actual testing and building in the custom game. So I want to build a small helicopter to be able to go do this stuff. The wind has been up like a mother, though, so I can't make it too small. So I'm kind of thinking I want tiny on this. I'm liking building some small stuff. Because, you know, we still have the problem with this game where everything needs to be done with a VTOL, which I wish we didn't, but... So let's start with a seat. I was almost thinking of doing gyrocopter, but that, like, looking like a gyrocopter, that really limits what I can do. So I have to kind of figure out how to do that. So hopefully I have enough microcontrollers I can just kind of slap this together, not have it take 100 years. Because I want to build as much of the stuff we use in this live series live, but it does get kind of tough to do it. I think smallest I can get this. I'm just kind of framing this out. I want to see how tiny I can get this. I need at least that much space for an engine. Unless I build it in the back. So I might kind of do it a little gyrocopter-esque. We'll see. Because if I want to do it fully enclosed, it's going to be super, super big. So, like, if I look at my ultralight, like, here's the size of my ultralight. And so, like, I've been liking the exposed motors. So, like, do exposed motor, kind of an open carriage. I need at least a little bit of seating in the back for some rescues. You know, something like this would be, like, kind of that dimensionally would be kind of cool. And I have to be careful about the cooling right now. So let's start with the making it work. So where's So I like building some small stuff. Definitely on a small stuff kick lately. I think I want to. It's gonna probably have to be coax because of the. If I put a pusher prop, which I pretty much need if I want any sort of speed, start losing the. I've got an idea. I have an idea. So this is my idea. Okay, this could work. It might not. So this kind of thought. Let's see if this idea will work. All right. So let's say we. I'm just gonna like flesh it out to show you guys. All right, so we go like this, right? So this could work. All right, so we have a pusher rotor like that. All right, so that's our pusher rotor, okay? It's going to push us along, but it's also going to do the roll component to do anti-torque. So I will test if this works. So let's try. So first I want to see, is it possible? So let's go mead. Okay. So I need to see if this is even possible. Because it might not be. So, oh, come on, man. Back there. But this would be kind of a cool idea, I think. It'd be a little bit different. See if it works. All right, so what we'll do is we'll start rotating, turning the rotor. Now, one thing you have to think about too is how big the rotor is. This rotor, because it's smaller diameter, should be turning faster than this rotor. So I'm just gonna gear that up, try to get more rotation. Electric motor doesn't really work all that well like this, so. This might not work with the electric motor, but what we'll do here is I want to do, let's see, it would be positive on that axis, so it should be positive roll. All right, and then we'll take this one will operate the motor. All right, so let's see if this is possible. I'm not going to be able to tell unless I put the pivot in that I meant to put in. Okay. So for anybody in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving for tomorrow. I probably won't stream tomorrow because I will be doing Thanksgiving things with the fam. So. All right, so take the power out of that. All right, so what we're hoping to do here is this should free spin, as you can see. All right, so I'm going to spool up the rotor. All right, now, of course, it's going to anti-torque. Now, this is not a velocity pivot, so it's going to push back. Should have made a velocity pivot. And we're going to add this in. See if I can turn us. Might have to do, I don't know. Let's see. Let's get I need a velocity pivot in there first of all. I need to be able to turn 360 degrees. It hit really hard and then it bounced back on me, so. Alright, this will allow it to spin. If I decrease this, it should go back to the right, but I don't think it's working right now. Did they correct the? Did they put in anti-torque in there because people were complaining? Oh, I wonder if they did that. Let me check my wind. Wind's off. I wonder if they did torque correction because people couldn't figure out how to do their own torque correction. That'd be disappointing. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this Y. It's like they put in auto torque correction almost. It's kind of gross. Yeah, I think they put in auto torque correction. I tried an ultralight build at one point that, I'm trying to think. Let's actually do some testing. I don't want to do too much building. I want to get some missions done. So let's try this. Let's take some ultralights out. I want to see what my short field performance is, because I want to see if I can go do these rescues at these places with the ultralights. So, let me check my wheel. False. Okay, good. These could have cooling problems. These are all air-cooled. So I'm going to hit the edge here. Oh, we did all right there. What's my flaps? 1? Okay, there's flaps. So this has no gyro in it. It's just too small for a gyro, so it has to be pretty stable on its own to work without a gyro. So, kind of trying to do an over-the-head pass here. There we go. Okay, come back. I don't think I'm going to be able to land very short. This one's tough to be ultra controllable because it's just tiny. I want to build something kind of cool and innovative too. I don't want to build something that's kind of pedestrian and mundane, so. So I'm trying to think of some ideas I could build that would be kind of fun and cool. So like this system is air cooled. This used to work fine. I don't know how it's going to work now. We'll see. Alright, so I want to see how short I can land this, so I need to come up with because ideally what I wanted to do is be able to take this off at that rescue we had. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do a real short landing with this particular build. See what I can do. I'm trying to think. I'd rather do a plane than a helicopter. I'm so sick of helicopters. I really am. You know, everything turns into a helicopter in this game. I really want to do a plane. I had an idea for a tilt wing. Let's try something here. I want to play with this and see if I can get this to tilt wing. So let's try something. I did try this before and it didn't like it because it was on a separate body, but they did do that update where they changed the way separate bodies work. So let's try something. I had started this build actually like this, so let's try hinge. Really? Okay. Alright, so I'm going to plug this into... Where's the flap controller? Right here. Flaps. Let's plug that in the flap controller. It used to... Remember, they worked on subgrids when they did the pressurization update. And so they worked on subgrids. And so one of the things is subgrids are going to work differently. So I want to see if this will... backwards, huh? Fuck. Nope. I was putting flaps up instead of down. Alright. Get out of there, you scum. Okay, I put... This is backwards. This is backwards. Alright. No wonder we had problems. Alright. Try that now. Problem too is I have no gyro on here, so this makes it tough to control it. So what I'm trying to do is tilt the engine to be able to get enough thrust that it wants to go up. So this would work in real life. You just change your velocity vector. The problem is center of gravity. We start getting into center of gravity problems here. So this is very short too. This should, you know, to do this you might need a longer tail. So yeah, that's going to be iffy trying to build something like that. Let's see what we can do here. I don't want to spend too much time building. Let's see what I have for helicopters. Trying to keep the building time to a minimum here. All right, let's do this. Let's go back into the, you know, especially getting into these more complicated builds is going to take a while. So let's go back into the career game, and I will take something I've already built. We'll take that out there. We'll use that. But some good ideas. I want to build something new and different, and so that's going to take a little while. So kind of thinking what I was thinking is, one is, I don't want it to be a full-on VTOL. One thing you can do is you can adjust the pitch of the propellers so that they... By pitching the propeller up, what you're doing is you're counteracting the forward thrust of it, and you're actually putting some of your velocity vector down to help lift you. And I can do it with flaps. I can get that to work, but it is challenging, so you have to kind of think of that. Let's go. We'll take something I built recently. I will use some old builds. I don't mind that too much. Let's take let's take Katydid. I haven't used Katydid in a while. We now have enough money, too. I can take some of these vehicles that before I couldn't take, so. There's the power. Get out of the seat, you dickhead. Maybe a pain in the ass, right? Alright, whatever. Get out of here. Do a bunch of testing off screen too to try to get things the way I want them. The wind is up, man, too. The wind has been super high lately in game. Like 46, I wish I might try to convert that. So right now, we can actually convert it right now. That's 35 knots of wind. So like we used to land in 45 gusts. 35 is about standard, like high end. That's a lot of wind. This would be like an airliner. If you've ever come in on an airliner and landed, and it's been like really rough on the way in, that would be this right now. This is not light wind. 35 knots is pretty heavy. So, just for perspective's sake, that is quite a bit of wind. So, and the game has just been like consistently at heavy wind lately. All right. All right, so let's head out there. We'll take Katie, because I don't think it's gonna be interesting me building for like 200 hours to try to get a vehicle out. So that's one reason I built the airplane shell. Is, you know, I could do like 20 minutes of building on that, and then do some off screen, and then eventually use it. I'm trying to keep this some building, but mostly me actually doing the missions and stuff. Alright, so I'm going to let it climb, and then I'm going to put it in an altitude. So let's see, altitude, let's go down to 500 feet. They definitely increased the rate. I think this was the issue that people were having with boilers, is they increased the radius of heat. You know, because I used to be able to get closer to fires, and now I'm getting burned, which I'm actually not against, but it kind of makes it so you have to use a suit now. But I need to remember to bring a friggin' suit with me, or else I'm gonna get burned. This base actually isn't a bad buy if you're looking for a sea base. This base here costs only 15,000, and it has a full-size bench. So if you're looking for a full-sized ocean bench, this one here, what's it called? This is a logistics hub. It's only 15 grand, so it's pretty affordable to spawn some large ships. I'm trying to see some other good bases here. I think the best money is still FJ for 80 grand. You get all, you know, you get all three for that. I might buy Draymore at some point. That's 50. What's Spy Cakes? See, Spy Cakes is ridiculously low. 40. So Spy Cakes is a good buy. That gives us access to the other continent, essentially. All right, there's logistics hub right there. Single rotor VTOL with tail prop, basically a helicopter turns the plane, yeah. I've had a couple of those ideas myself, would be kind of cool. You know, I'm definitely a contrarian, and so I very much go for the contrary thing. And, you know, this game quickly devolves into VTOLs, because a lot of these missions, it's like, oh, how can I go put out this fire at this island? VTOL. You know, it's like, how can I go do this rescue mission in the ocean? Okay, you could take a boat or VTOL. You know, and so I try to, like, not do VTOL for friggin' everything. That's why I like making a seaplane. Like a seaplane, I could fly in, land, and then go run this mission off, you know. And so vertical takeoff and landing aircraft tend to start to become the default in this, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm not against it, but I think they need to add some more content where, for example, it makes sense for us to go to a, you know, to use an airplane. Like, airplanes are still going to be some of the best options for going long distances. Not that there are any long distances in game, but, you know, like, I would love to see them add a smaller pallet for cargo, like I have, like a 5-wide pallet, like you would have, for example, the cargo containers inside of, say, one of like the UPS cargo 7.5s or 7.6s, A300s, you know, 7.4s. You know, have some of those cargo pods and have us transport them airport to airport. You could use a VTOL if you wanted, but an airplane is going to be more efficient, be better. The problem is the game makes it so that it's like always, hey, just use a VTOL, 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 and that gets very boring. Hopefully we don't blow off the edge here. I will screw with this friggin' wind if it's gonna blow us off the edge here because our brakes aren't gonna work for shit. Hi people, at least you're not standing in the fire like most of your kin would. Definitely need fire suits now, so I need to put that on the list of adding that to some vehicles. The cool thing with that is it starts to make it where like it's beneficial to have purpose-built firefighting equipment. Like my my fire truck has a bunch of fire suits on it. You know, it pumps. You know, it could shoot long distances. I probably have to work and fix some things, but you know, so it starts to make sense to have specialized vehicles, which is kind of cool because you want to have a suit on it. Alright, good. Fire's out. Howdy there, partner. You coming with? You coming with? No, probably inside. They don't want to come with, so. Where are they? It said 2, right? Let's check it. 2? 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. 1 casualty. Okay, just 1 person. So whoever I can pick up. Neither of them, huh? Where the hell is my person? How's my person? Did I miss you somewhere? Where the hell are they? Where the hell are they? Oh, right here. That's an interesting look. Didn't even see you. Bunny hop us out of here. Alright, good. I'm gonna read some chat. Start working on a diesel fluid jet SAR ship, but have what? Diesel fluid? Oh, like water jet. Okay, diesel engines, water jet. So I think what you're saying. Okay, let's see. Where do we want to go hospital-wise here? I don't have a... there are beds up here. Let's head up here. Okay. But I've been able to get any reasonable fuel consumption. Am I just expecting too much? What RPS are you running your modular engines at? What are your gear ratios? Yeah, that's the big thing there, Professor Wood, is, you know, is what gear ratios you're running at. If you're, you know, load has an impact on fuel economy as well, but also RPS. If you're running at ridiculous RPS, you're going to get ridiculous fuel burns because you're not taking advantage of the engine. You're, you know, essentially if you did a 1-to-1 gear ratio, you're spinning the engine up really high. It's producing a lot of torque, but you're not doing anything with the torque because you're not rotating the propeller very fast, or in this case the water jet, which is just an impeller. But by gearing it up, you're now moving the impeller at a high speed. It starts to make sense, you know. So, kind of need to know those answers to those questions before you can really figure out what would improve it. 10 RPS, 127. Okay. So you have what? Three gearboxes, 3-to-1. Are they facing the engine? modular engines, correct? Because it depends on if they're modular or prefabs. Okay, a 1 to 9. And yeah, what? Like, you need to tell me which. I asked you 3 questions. So. Is it modular engines or prefabs? 10 RPS. Yeah, 10 RPS isn't that bad. Cylinder modular. Gearbox are pointed towards the engine. Okay. So gearbox pointed the engine 1 to 9. What speed are you getting? I don't use fluid jets very often, so I never use fluid jets. What speed are you going and what speed do you want to be going? You know, if you're trying to go 300 knots, yeah, you're not going to get good fuel burns because it's an unrealistic speed, so you're going to get unrealistically high fuel burns. That seems pretty reasonable to me. 130 kilometers an hour is insanely fast for a boat. It's really fast for a boat. That knots. KPH 2 knots. 130. That's 70 knots. Yeah, 2 point. That's pretty reasonable for a boat going 70 knots. Yeah. You know, you're going at a very high speed. You need to expect to burn a lot of fuel. Yeah, you could try to get the RPS even lower by gearing it up more, but yeah, again, you're asking a lot of it. You're asking to go 70 knots. Most boats do not go 70 knots. You know, fast speed for boats like 30 knots. You know, like you'll get some ribs and stuff that go that, but they're not going long distance, and they're going to burn a ton of fuel doing it because they're trading efficiency for speed. You know, you don't get anything for free. You're trading your efficiency for speed. You know, of course, you can have a combination, but you know, you're essentially saying, "Oh, I don't care about efficiency anymore. I want speed." You know, that's what happens with some of those. You know, like if you look talking like the ribs, they don't really care about the efficiency. They're trying to get out to the rescue quickly and get back, or you know, to go rescue the people fast, and then they probably take them to a mothership that now goes 30 knots for efficiency's sake. You know, but those numbers aren't bad. That's a you know, if you were going like 10 knots, that would be a very high fuel burn, but you know, that's not a bad fuel burn for going 70 knots. You know, I don't know what some of my stuff that goes that fast would be. I think like my fast rescue boats probably burn that or more. There's I think there's a sleepy in here. Do we have a bed in here? I thought there's a bed in the fishing village. I was hoping there was one here. I could sleep in the can. Trying to take a nap so we can get another mission quickly here. This bed's right here. Let's see where we're at here. Nothing going on right now. Okay, let's try to get a mission. Yeah, that's the thing. I see this quite often with people is they'll be like, oh, my ship's so slow, and it goes like double the speed of the ship that would go in real life, and it's like, that's a fast ship, you know? How's it going there, FS? One wind turbine engineer. Okay, let's see. Where he at? Where he at? Okay, he over here. Okay, he's at Brinkfield. Let's go get him. Check our fuel before we leave. Always important. Again, this is real pilotage. You need to check your fuel before you go. Every time you need to plan your fuel. Weather looks fine. Fuel is something we need to look at. Fuel is good. Okay. Yeah, it's like my ships tend to go, I usually put about 20% faster, you know, than they would IRL. That tends to be how I go on them. You know, so like, for example, Triton goes 19, 20 knots. I didn't put in the new one here. Triton goes 19, 20 knots. That's about 20% faster than it would go. So, you know, Triton, I think the real ship goes like something like 14, 15 knots IRL. It would be cool to make a, so I plan on doing it at some point, but I want to build a small home ship for the live series here. Kind of old school looking, kind of like a Steve Zissou type of thing. Yeah. Okay, it's in the south cluster there. Like this like, I don't know, like for some people this would seem slow. There's 146 knots. That's insanely fast for a helicopter. You know, the distances in stormworks are short. Like this from here to here is like 50 nautical miles. You know, so if you're doing 300 knots, you know, you're talking 1/6 of an hour, you know. So 10 minutes to go from here to there. You know, that's pretty short. You know, and it's like, I understand people want to do cool things and do whatever you like, but, you know, you do have to realize that if you step out of the bounds of reality, expect to have to pay for it. You know, it's, you want to go super fast, you got to burn a lot of fuel. That's how it is in real life, you know. There's a reason why if you wanted to rent a private jet, it would cost you like $10,000 an hour at least, is you burn a lot of fuel. You know, for that speed, you burn a lot of fuel. You know, you want to go jump in the back of a commercial airliner stuffed in there with 300 other people. You know, still burn a lot of fuel, but you have a lot of people in there carrying the freight, you know. You want to go even more economically, go on a, most economically, probably a train. You know, unless you ship. Let's see, where's my 5 nautical miles, 2 minutes. We're gonna go send. I went up to 1,300 feet for the mountains. Start slowing down a little bit here. We're just gonna have to do a slam dunk to get in there. See if anybody puts more pictures. Not much going on in the build challenge discussion. It's been kind of quiet for a couple days there. A little bit yesterday. Checking the old Discord. Good stuff going on in the old Discord. Cool builds going on all the Discords. Good to get inspiration to go on the showcases and see what people are building. Let's turn on some strobes. Let's turn on my beacons. I didn't put any of that on. About a minute away, 2 nautical miles. We should be seeing it coming up here pretty soon. All right, there's Brinkfield right in front of us. That's a good looking bumper. I like that. Good detailing on that bumper in the Discord. Alright, autopilot's coming off. Now do a fuel check here. Good. We've only used so I used 5 gallons to get from there. So this is a very efficient craft. Pretty reasonable. Oh, I'm taking cargo too? Shit. It's the small box. That looks like a loot crate next to it. I was gonna say, if I take that big crate, I would love if they give us some of those missions. That would be awesome. Take a large crate with us. Howdy. Ugh, that has to go with us. Shit. I don't think that fits in the door. That doesn't fit in the door. This is cool though. But will it fit in the friggin' door? No. Piss. Damn it. Did it tell me a big crate? Like, come on, man. You gotta tell me these things. Let me see. Did it tell me and I just ignored it? I knew I'd take something, but not that. And their cargo. It's like, see, this is fine. This is all I've ever experienced is these small ones, I think. Get out of there. Drop the thing, you scumbag. Let go of the... Let go of the box, you scum. I'm not going to be able to get that big crate in here. You know, this would be a perfect mission for plane as far as I'm concerned. I would love to do this with a plane, you know, so give me the same missions from airport to airport. I don't see any of those missions pop up. Like, all these transpo are helicopter missions. I think it'd be super easy for the devs to say, same mission, transport some dude from here with that cargo to here, or up to Tajin. But it's always like from some piddly island to an airport or another piddly island. So it's like up, like as with everything in game, let's take another VTOL with us, you know. And that I find that incredibly boring that I can't bring the vehicle I want. I always have to bring a VTOL. And sometimes I'm in an airplane mood. I want to take an airplane, you know. No, sorry, some of your crap's staying here, there, guy. I was ill-advised of what your requirements are when I accepted this contract. You did not tell me what your requirements were, good sir. Do not hit that. Do not hit that crate. There you go. Okay. I'm gonna say eat my propeller. I'll be annoyed. All right, where are you going? You're going to the wind turbine island here. So set the waypoint there. You know, head off. So we are leaving here with 61 gallons. We had 69 gallons when we left Sawyer South. You can build your own now for the challenge there and learn how to make the ECU on your own. Well, one thing you need to consider too is the game you do burn more fuel than you do in real life because the distances are shorter, so we have time compression in game. Like this is, so I've showed this before, like if I was going to land at Harrison here, right? This is how long my final would be in real life. So if I was coming in to land in Harrison Airport in a commercial airliner, I would come out here so that my final is a 10-mile final. All right. And so look at how tiny, like look at how close this distance is. I hate how close these are. Like everything is super close. Like this is 50 nautical miles from here, you know. And so because of that, if you used realistic fuel burns, it would make it so that everything could be on like 10% fuel tanks. So because the distances are shorter, you make the fuel burns higher so that it still costs you something. Because it would cost, it'd be like, it would take me 1 gallon to go from here to there, you know. So like if you could get your plane to have a 50-mile, you know, 50 gallons, yeah, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. To do 50 miles to the gallon, that means you could use 1 gallon of fuel to go from here to there. Well, that doesn't make any sense. You're going from a southern arid biome up to the Arctic. It should take you like a tank of fuel to get up there. And so they do fuel compression where, because the distances are so short, one of the ways games do this is they make it so that the that it burns more fuel, so that it has a more realistic fuel burn, even though they're not giving you realistic distances. Frankly, that's kind of the way of it. So it's like if I were to go 50 miles in a jet, I wouldn't use a full tank of fuel. But in my jets that go 300 knots, like my Cap Air jet goes 300 knots. So I fly out of here and I get up here, and it's an insanely short amount of time. Like I said, it takes me 10 minutes to go from here to there in my Cap Air jet. But it takes about 75% of my fuel tank to get up there. And so that's very expensive in fuel, but I'm carrying a whole passenger load of people. So if they made it realistic with fuel burns, the problem would be this. I would go up here and I'd burn barely any fuel, and you'd have to make the fares incredibly small. So you need that some of these compression things for when the scale and the size is small, and it's kind of like, that ship you're talking about. That ship probably goes thousands of miles. So of course, if it's going thousands of miles, it needs to have a 0.05 liters per second. But because the ship is going tens of miles, now you need to extrapolate that out, it's the same kind of thing that, I complain about Star System with, is like Chris Roberts had this fever dream that you would get 10 of your friends to go fly around with you in your ship, and they would barely do anything. Well, of course, people are going to get bored. They're not going to want to do that, right? And so a lot of people are going to fly and do things by themselves. It's like with me operating Triton by myself. It doesn't make any sense in real life for one person to take out this giant ship, right? It doesn't make any sense. You would have the ship Triton's based off of. It's a research ship, so it has extra people. But I think it has like 24 crew. So... in real life, you have some of those crew are engineers who are constantly working on the engines. Mechanics, depends on where you're from. But mechanics working on all the engines. You would have a bunch of people, for redundancy's sake, in the bridge. They don't just get to sleep in a bed and accelerate time. They actually have to sleep. So as one set of people are sleeping, the other set of people are working. You need to stop for meal times. All these things we don't have to consider in game. So in game, it makes sense for me as one person to operate a big ship, and then for me to no clip and change character, and then jump on a plane. It's like, in real life, my type rating when I have, you're essentially you keep your type ratings, but like when I flew for the airlines, we had multiple different types of airplanes. I was type rated on one at a time. So even though, so they couldn't say, oh, you're going to fly the CRJ today. No, they can't do that. In tractor trailer, you can do that. For example, like today, you're driving a Kenworth. Tomorrow, you're driving a Mack. The next day, you're driving a Freightliner. You don't do that with flying. I was type rated on the 145, and we could fly the 135, 140, 145. That was it. Even if you were type rated on something else, they couldn't just be like, oh, you're flying the CRJ today. You can't do that, because you're super specialized. So like on Triton, you would have somebody, they are the pilot. What do? Pilot. That's it. They fly the helicopter. That's it. You would have somebody who is a mechanic. That's all they do. You'd have somebody who actually, operates the ship. That's what they do. You might have a cook. That's all they do. And so in some of these games, you have to have cross jobs and purposes. And so that's one of the things I think Star Citizen often misses the point is, they think that you're going to have, so for example, like a good example with Star Citizen that kind of annoys me is my favorite cargo ship. Yes, in real life, you'd have a couple people probably working on it, but they made it where it's a crew size of 4. And it's like, one, you're never going to be able to get 3 of your friends to just sit in your cargo ship and do nothing as you drive around and do cargo. They're going to be like, nah, man, that's boring. I don't want to do it, which is fine. So you play solo. But, the problem is, like, they think you're going to have that. And then Star Citizen's silly, too. They think, oh, you're going to have all these escorts to protect your cargo. So now you're asking me to fill my ship with 3 friends who are, for the most part, are going to sit around and do absolutely nothing. And then ask me to get 2 more friends to fly their fighters with me to protect me. Now, you might get the 4 people and the 3 other people inside to go fly fighters because that's at least a little bit engaging to them in a gaming sense. But you're not going to get them to just sit in your ship and do nothing. So you need to kind of make the ship so that one person can operate it, you know. And that's the same kind of thing with this game, is when I build stuff, you know, you build it so that you can operate it as a solo player. You know, and the other thing, too, is in those, in real life, of course, it's your job. So it doesn't matter if you're sitting around doing nothing. You're getting paid for it. That's the point, you know. And so you're happy to sit around and do nothing because you're getting paid for it. Oh, I'm going to hit the trees. I'm not careful here. You know, you're getting paid for it. So, like, I would take a load somewhere, and I would sit for 4 hours. Well, I was getting paid for it. I don't care. I'll sit here all day getting paid for it. But as soon as you're not getting paid, you know, and you're on your recreation time, and you're at home sitting at your computer gaming, you know, you don't want to be doing these things anymore because you're not getting paid anymore. You know, and so it's like some of these work simulator things, you want to, you know, even though it's still, you know, kind of a work type of thing, it's, you know, it has to be engaging or else you're not going to do it. You know, it has to be fun or you're not going to do it. Why can't I get you out of here? There we go. All right, I was grabbing the wrong spot. You know, so it's like, imagine how bored you guys would be if I was like, okay, I want you to sit in Triton and do nothing while I go fly off in a helicopter, right? You're going to be bored. You're not going to want to do that. But if it was like, okay, I'm going to pay you $30 an hour to sit in Triton and do nothing, you'd be like, sign me up, you know? That's kind of the silliness of some of those games that don't take that into place. Let's see if we can find a crate, and then I think I'll take a break. Not really much I want to build right now, and some of it's going to take a long time. This... What the fuck is this? Windows has been wonky. Windows just popped up window for no reason on me. Let me see if I can find a quick container. That would be a good little bit of money. Probably up inside one of these. All right. So I think we'll. I'm gonna save it here. We'll kind of hang out and do missions for a little while in the next episode. It won't be on tomorrow as it is Thanksgiving. But yeah. So I want to build some stuff, but I kind of, you know, it's tough to build everything live because it, you know, takes a ton of time. So I might do just some live building. But it's like some of these builds take hundreds of hours, and it's like you're not going to sit there for hundreds of hours. So I'll keep this a little bit more on the doing actual mission stuff. Let's go ahead and I'll check out the members. All right, so special thanks to all the members: Side of Mountain, Connor Boyle, Danny, Sergeant Chaos, Aaron Repairs, All Citrus, and FS Gamer for being members. Thank you to Chicken Store for being a patron. If you guys are interested in that, that's down in the description. You can see the links for that. Thank you to all the subscribers. Thank you for everybody watching. If you guys would do me a favor and like the video, that helps other people who may like it as well find it. So thank you guys very much for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.